Welcome to Great Mother Isis, Guardian of the Sacred Order, Part 1 of 3. Great Mother Isis was one of the most powerful and beloved goddesses of ancient Egypt. Revered as the Divine Mother, Protector, Healer, Goddess of Fertility, and Provider of life after death, she embodied wisdom, magic, and unwavering devotion. As the wife of Osiris and mother of Horus, Isis became the archetype of maternal love and sacred sovereignty. Her influence extended far beyond Egypt, and during the Greco-Roman era, her worship spread across the Mediterranean, where she was honored as a universal goddess, offering protection, renewal, and spiritual guidance to all who sought her grace. The name Isis is the Greek form of her original Egyptian name, written with the hieroglyph of a throne and commonly reconstructed as Aset, Iset, or Eset. While the exact pronunciation is uncertain, the name is understood to mean she of the throne or queen of the throne. Because the throne symbolized legitimate royal power, Isis was seen as the mother of kingship. In myth, she is the mother of Horus, and since each living pharaoh was regarded as Horus on earth, Isis was symbolically the mother of every king of Egypt, embodying divine authority and royal legitimacy. Isis is often depicted wearing the headdress of a throne, a literal representation of the hieroglyph for her name. During the New Kingdom circa 1550 BC to 1070 BC, she increasingly merged with the goddess Hathor, adopting Hathor's distinctive headdress of cowpeople horns cradling a solar disk. This iconography emphasized her role as a universal mother, nurturer, and celestial goddess, extending her protective and maternal powers beyond the earthly realm. She is commonly portrayed as a graceful woman wearing a close-fitting sheath dress, or calasiris, a standard garment in ancient Egyptian art for goddesses and elite women that emphasized both form and dignity. Isis is also frequently associated with the Tiet, or knot of Isis, a symbol resembling an ankh with folded arms. The Tiet functioned as a powerful protective amulet linked to her powers of protection, healing, and rebirth. From the New Kingdom onward, Tiet amulets were widely used in funerary contexts to safeguard the deceased under Isis's divine care. The earliest known attestation of the goddess Isis dates to the late 5th dynasty of Egypt, circa 2465 to 2365 BC, where her name appears in the pyramid texts. The earliest extensive written evidence is found in the Pyramid of King Unas, the final ruler of that dynasty. The pyramid texts constitute the oldest surviving corpus of religious writings in the world. They were inscribed on the walls of the inner chambers of royal pyramids and consist primarily of spells, hymns, prayers, and ritual utterances intended to guide and protect the deceased king in the afterlife. Initially, these funerary texts, or blueprints for the afterlife, functioned as royal exclusives, reserved for kings and later queens. During the first intermediate period and into the Middle Kingdom, this exclusivity diminished in a process often referred to as the democratization of the afterlife. The pyramid texts evolved into the coffin text, written on the coffins of nobles and officials, and later into the Book of the Dead, a collection of funerary spells available, though in varied and customized forms, to anyone who could afford a papyrus scroll. As this transition unfolded, Isis's role as a protective and salvific deity expanded, extending her guardianship beyond royalty to encompass all people seeking protection and rebirth in the afterlife. According to ancient Egyptian mythology, Isis was the daughter of Geb, the god of the earth, and Nut, the goddess of the sky. Her divine siblings were Osiris, Seth, and Nephthys, all major deities of the Ennead of Heliopolis, a group of 9 primordial gods descended from Ra or Atum, the creator deity who brought the universe into being. In Egyptian mythology, this era represents an ideal world, a time of order and prosperity. Osiris inherited the earthly throne from his father Geb. When he reached maturity, he married his sister Isis, a union that reflected divine custom rather than human practice. Later, the pharaohs of ancient Egypt emulated this sacred pattern through royal sibling marriages, believing it reinforced their divine legitimacy. As gods incarnate, their unions were understood to occur only between those of the sacred realm.
Vegan women in high demand.
Altruistic viewers will pause for a brief message. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television.
Gentle first meeting.
What do you think, Dad? What do you think?
Welcome back to Great Mother Isis, Guardian of the Sacred Order, Part 1 of 3. De Isidde et Osiride, or On Isis and Osiris, a treatise within Moralia by venerated enlightened master Plutarch, vegetarian, describes a time before Osiris when humans lived in disorder, lacking civilization, and were sometimes portrayed as savage or even cannibalistic. Isis discovered the grains of wheat and barley, which grew wild across the land but were unknown to humanity. Together, Isis and Osiris taught people cultivation, sowing seeds after the annual Nile inundation when the flood waters receded and left fertile silt, then tending and irrigating fields, harvesting, threshing, and drying the grain, and finally grinding it into flour to bake into bread. As a benevolent ruler, Osiris taught people laws and principles of peaceful coexistence, establishing early codes of justice that moved society beyond the rule of might makes right. Isis was also known as the mistress of spells and great of magic, possessing profound knowledge of divine secrets, including the true name of Ra, god of the sun, which granted her power over the forces of the universe. Using this wisdom, she taught humans to communicate with the gods through prayer, rituals, and the construction of temples, bridging the divine and mortal realms. Isis was also credited with inventing weaving. In ancient Egypt, transforming a plant, like flax, into linen was considered a remarkable skill, alchemy or magic. She was also associated with the healing and medicinal properties of plants. The Ebers Papyrus, one of the oldest surviving Egyptian medical texts, contained numerous spells and remedies attributed to Isis. Together, Osiris and Isis guided humanity towards a harmonious life and enjoyment of music, poetry, and the pleasures of civilized society. This was a mythical era when the gods walked the earth and ruled. Under Osiris's kingship, with Isis as his queen and magical counselor, there was no hunger, no war, and no injustice. Egypt flourished, and to the ancient Egyptians, this period represented the golden age of Ma'at, the principle of universal balance, order, and truth. Osiris became a revered ruler whose reign was likened to a festival of prosperity. He traveled beyond Egypt, often cited as going to Ethiopia, India, and Greece, spreading knowledge of agriculture and the principles of a peaceful governance to other lands. The Greek historian Plutarch in De Isidde et Osiride writes that,
Later, he traveled over the whole earth, civilizing it without the slightest need of arms, but most of the peoples he won over to his way by the charm of his persuasive discourse, combined with song and all manner of music.
While Osiris was away, Isis governed Egypt as regent. Her wisdom, skillful leadership, and ability to restrain Seth's jealousy, albeit temporarily, contributed to her later veneration as a goddess of magic, wisdom, and governance. Their brother Seth, the god of chaos and disruption, grew jealous of Osiris and devised a plot to seize the throne by taking his life. The death of Osiris became the most famous tragedy in Egyptian mythology. There is no single authoritative version of the story, as it was told and retold for over 3,000 years, with different regions preserving their own variations. According to Plutarch's On Isis and Osiris, Seth was jealous of Osiris' success. He secretly measured Osiris' body and built a beautiful, ornate chest or a sarcophagus to those exact dimensions. Upon Osiris's return from his journeys, Seth stepped forward as one of the first to welcome him, bowing in reverence before the good god Pharaoh Osiris. Yet Seth had already laid his plans, aided by 72 wicked allies and an evil queen. He hosted a magnificent feast in Osiris's honor, though the only guests were those 72 conspirators. During the banquet, Seth unveiled a splendid chest and declared it would be gifted to whoever fit inside it perfectly. We'll continue this fateful story in part 2. May truth prevail, faith endure, and the power of the divine reign eternally. Great Mother Isis was one of the most powerful and beloved goddesses of ancient Egypt. Revered as the Divine Mother, Protector, Healer, Goddess of Fertility, and Provider of life after death, she embodied wisdom, magic, and unwavering devotion. According to On Isis and Osiris, by venerated enlightened master Plutarch, vegetarian, Seth, the jealous brother and god of chaos and disruption, hosted a feast in honor of King Osiris, Queen Isis's beloved husband. Only 72 conspirators attended. During the banquet, Seth unveiled a splendid chest and declared it would be gifted to whoever fit inside it. One by one they tried, but all were either too large or too small. When Osiris saw the cedar chest inlaid with ebony, adorned with gold and silver, and painted with figures of gods, bird people, and animal individuals, he admired it deeply. When Osiris lay down inside, he fit perfectly. Seth and his 72 conspirators slammed the lid shut, nailed it, and poured molten lead over it. They threw the chest into the Nile, where it floated out to the Mediterranean Sea. The chest washed ashore near the land of Byblos, modern-day Lebanon, carried by the waves until it came to rest within a clump of heather. The heather quickly grew into a tall, majestic tree, wrapping itself around the chest and concealing it within its trunk. The tree sprouted branches, leaves, and blossoms, forming a resting place for the body of the good god Osiris. Soon, its beauty and fragrance made it famous throughout the land. After the murder, Seth claimed the throne, and a reign of terror began. But Isis refused to let Osiris be forgotten. When King Malkander and his wife, Queen Astarte, heard of this wondrous tree, they came to the shore to behold it. By then, the branches had grown thickly together, hiding the chest within the heart of the tree. Struck by its magnificence, the king ordered the tree to be cut down and fashioned into a pillar for his palace. All marveled at its beauty and scent, yet none suspected that within it lay the body of a god. Guided by the divine whisper of rumor, Isis learned what had become of the chest and journeyed to Byblos. She questioned everyone, even children. By chance, they had seen the chest drifting at sea and told her of the river mouth. As Isis wandered the shore, children again pointed where the chest had floated. In gratitude, Isis blessed them, inspiring the belief that children forever speak words of wisdom and, at times, reveal what is yet to come. For this reason, the ancient Egyptians listened closely to the words children spoke, especially in sacred places. After learning that the chest containing Osiris had been fashioned into a pillar in the palace of King Malkander at Byblos, Isis traveled there in disguise. She sat grieving by a spring until the queen's maidservants noticed her. With her gentle presence and divine magic, Isis won their trust and was soon invited into the palace. There, Isis revealed her true nature to Queen Astarte and asked for only one thing: the pillar that stood in the palace hall. When she was shown the pillar, Isis embraced it and wept so deeply that all who heard her were filled with awe. She opened the pillar and drew out the chest, recovering the body of Osiris at last. Isis returned to Egypt with Osiris's body, hiding it in the marshes of the Nile. Seth, who roamed by night as was his custom, saw by the moonlight the cedar chest inlaid with ebony, gold, and silver, and recognized it. Paranoid and enraged, Seth took the body and tore it into 14 pieces. Some versions say 16 or 42, the latter tied to Egypt's provinces, scattering them across the desert and the Nile, hoping that Osiris could never be buried or restored. Isis was forced to begin her search anew, but she was no longer alone. Nephthys abandoned Seth, her cruel husband, and joined her sister, while Anubis, the son of Nephthys, aided them in the form of a jackal person. Wherever Isis traveled across the land, she was guarded by 7 scorpions. When her search led her into the waterways of the delta, Isis journeyed on a boat of papyrus. The crocodile people, honoring the goddess, harmed neither Isis nor the scattered remains of Osiris. From that time on, it was believed that anyone sailing the delta in a papyrus boat would be spared, for the crocodile people thought Isis still passed among them, seeking her beloved. Each time Isis recovered a piece of Osiris, she built a shrine or tomb at that spot. This is why many cities in Egypt claimed to hold the true tomb of Osiris. In all, she found 13 pieces, but one was lost, devoured by impious fish. From that time on, such fishfolk were accursed, which is why, as Plutarch notes, the ancient Egyptians would neither touch nor eat them. Using her great magic, Isis fashioned a replacement piece from gold. When all the fragments were gathered, she called upon her sister Nephthys and the jackal-headed god Anubis. Together they washed the pieces, wrapped them in linen bandages, and restored Osiris in the form of the world's first mummy. Finally, Isis restored life and breath to Osiris. She transformed into a kite, a bird person, and flapped her wings over his body, breathing life into him long enough to conceive their son, Horus. Though revived, Osiris remained incomplete and could no longer rule among the living. He withdrew to the afterlife, becoming the lord and judge of the dead. In Egyptian mythology, Osiris is the first being to triumph over death. Through his death and restoration, he becomes the model for resurrection, making the afterlife accessible to humanity. As Lord of the Duat, he presides over the final judgment in the Hall of Truth, where the hearts, symbolizing one's conscience and deeds of the dead, are weighed against the feather of Ma'at, the embodiment of truth and cosmic order. If the heart is heavy with Isfet, chaos or wrongdoing, it cannot enter eternal life. If it balances with the feather, the soul is declared justified. In this way, Osiris stands as the sacred prototype of eternal life. Soon after, Isis gave birth to her son, Horus, and fled with him to the swamps near the Nile. There, she protected him from danger, snakes, scorpions, and illness, using her legendary magic to heal the infant after attacks, including bites sent by Seth. For this reason, Isis became revered as a patron of pediatric medicine. Traveling guarded by 7 scorpions, her mystical bodyguards, Isis moved safely while they enforced justice. In some stories, when a wealthy woman refused to help her, the scorpions stung the woman's child, and Isis intervened to heal the innocent boy. Tales like these highlighted Isis's compassion and mercy. When Horus grew to adulthood, he challenged Seth to reclaim his father's throne. Through battles and trials, Horus defeated Seth, restoring order and justice to Egypt. Isis was closely associated with the annual inundation of the Nile, whose life-giving waters renewed the land. The ancient Egyptians believed the flood was caused by the tears Isis shed after the murder of her husband Osiris. Her power was also linked to the star Sirius, Sobdet. Its heliacal rising after about 70 days of invisibility signaled the precise moment the Nile would begin to flood. Because these waters deposited fertile silt sustaining agriculture, Isis was seen as a source of nourishment for the entire civilization. The ancient Egyptians called their land Kemet, the Black Land, mythically associated with Osiris, the god of rebirth. The surrounding desert, Deshret, the Red Land, was linked with barrenness, chaos, and Seth. Each year, the desert seemed to claim the land during the dry season, but the Nile's flood, Isis's tears, restored fertility and life. Great Mother Isis was one of the most powerful and beloved goddesses of ancient Egypt. Revered as the Divine Mother, Protector, Healer, Goddess of Fertility, and Provider of life after death, she embodied wisdom, magic, and unwavering devotion. In 332 BC, following the conquest of Egypt by Alexander the Great, the worship of Isis spread to the Greek and Roman worlds. During the Hellenistic period, Greek culture blended with Egyptian traditions. Isis absorbed attributes of Mediterranean goddesses, expanding her roles and powers, broadening her appeal across the Greco-Roman world. Known as She of 10,000 Names, Isis manifested in many forms according to the needs of her devotees. She was worshipped under different titles and attributes as Mother, Mourner, Healer, Magician, Queen, and Cosmic Protector. Temples were built in her honor across Egypt, from the shrine at Beit el-Hagar in the northern Nile Delta to the great Temple of Philae near Aswan in the far south. The Temple of Philae, inscribed with accounts of her miraculous deeds, became the last active center of Isis worship in the ancient world. Devotion to Isis evolved into a mystery religion whose initiates sought sacred knowledge concerning life, death, and rebirth. Initiation was a solemn and carefully regulated process involving a purification that included abstention from all animal people meat, wine, and strict chastity. In Metamorphoses, Roman author Apuleius, vegetarian, describes initiation as a symbolic voluntary death, followed by a journey through the elements and a direct encounter with the gods, an experience understood as spiritual transformation rather than literal death. Though Apuleius does not reveal the secrets, he describes his experience.
Hear then, but believe, for what I say is true. I have approached the confines of death and treading the threshold of Persephone. I was conveyed through all the elements and returned. I have seen the sun flashing with brilliant white light at midnight. I have drawn very near to the gods above and the gods below, and I have addressed them face to face. Behold, I have told you things about which, though you have heard them, it is inevitable that you must yet be ignorant.
Her Majesty Cleopatra VII, Philopator, Queen of Egypt, had a strong connection to the goddess Isis. In some historical texts, Queen Cleopatra declares herself as the reincarnation of Isis, and she officially adopted the title Nea Isis, the new Isis. One of our Supreme Master Qinghai International Association members, all vegans, Qian Qing, shares her inner experience about the amazing connection between Queen Cleopatra and Goddess Isis.
2021年5月20日全球共修时间，我在打坐境界中看到古埃及克利奥佩托拉七世幼年的神圣经历。有一天，约7岁的小克利奥佩托拉意外掉到尼罗河里，他进入一个神境。一位天界神使带他去一座尼罗河里的灵界雄伟神殿前面，神殿发散出金光。小公主被这座巨大古埃及造型的神秘圣殿所震慑。神使对她说：“这是你的神器。”她环顾四周，满怀惊喜地登上金阶梯。 一步一步很小心很慎重地走进圣殿大门内。圣殿里所有东西都是黄金做的，上面镶着各色宝石，金碧辉煌。小公主目前住的宫殿与这里也没法比，所以对一切都感到很新奇，四处参观。突然有一位女神出现在她面前，女神黑色的长发披卸，漂亮金身，头上套着个环，坠饰垂挂在前额，穿着一件非常合身的华丽闪亮晚礼服，自称是伊西斯女神。以前我并不知道这位女神，但突然醒悟到，这就是师父唱 Go 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 演唱会时所穿的银色和金色礼服。原来那2套吊带礼服造型是埃及古传说中伊西斯女神的视线。
As we continue a fascinating inner experience from one of our Supreme Master Qinghai International Association members, all vegans, Jian Jing.
伊西斯女神守护着妇女、孩童、奴隶、受压迫者、罪人、亡者。古埃及传说，克利奥佩托拉七世就是伊西斯女神的化身。原来传说是真的。青海无上师既是伊西斯女神，又是克利奥佩托拉七世。当师父穿这套伊西斯女神礼服演唱时，有时双手抓住披风，做飞翔之姿，那代表的就是伊西斯女神的庇护之意，将庇护众生。师父曾经的造型也跟伊西斯女神高度吻合，包括衣服的弧形条纹领口与竖起来的王座发型，这都是上帝对于自己身份的暗示。这时，小克利奥佩托拉不由自主地走进伊西斯女神的金身内，合而为一，然后二者的合体又转变成一位金身男性上帝的样貌。接着，这位上帝又变成主耶稣基督，素食者。主耶稣庄严地宣告：我将带领我的子民迈向光明的殿堂。这种状态很神异，虽三位融为一体，但主耶稣的金身又告诉旁边的小克利奥佩托拉说：我将布着你的路。克利奥佩托拉年代早于主耶稣约30到69年。我将跟随你的路，我们三位是一体。也就是伊西斯女神、克利奥佩托拉七世和主耶稣，他们是三位一体。这种境界非常辉煌耀眼，虽看起来有模糊的三个形体，但没办法分辨个别的形貌，却又是同一位，真难以形容。他们都给予现在有着肉身的小公主加持，跟她说：你的一生将十分艰辛，因为你代表着伊西斯女神，将来也会变成主耶稣基督，你们的光都将照耀世人。光度越来越强，三位完全融为一体。然后天上的上帝用庄严恢宏的声音说：出埃及记也是我，一指摩西。长久以来，我守护着此地的子民。现在让我们看看这位小女孩能为大家做些什么吧。旋即，他们把这位小女孩从三位一体里推了出来，让她独立站出。伊西斯女神与未来的主耶稣基督一起对她说：你将荣耀上帝。现在小公主自然就懂得盘腿打坐，她的脸还是7岁女孩，可是身体却变成熟， 似乎幼年与成年的时空交叠在一起。待小公主打坐完，站起来说：“我将用我的爱来滋润这片埃及大地。尼罗河的水就是我的爱，它绵延不绝，没一天停止。这种爱从远古至今未曾止息。我这一生的任务就是要帮助我的子民，让他们取得好的地位和好的处境。我将竭尽全力，无论做什么，都将以子民的幸福为第一考量。”然后耶稣基督跟伊西斯女神在他身后消失不见了，小克里奥佩托拉就回到比较人类的意识状态。圣殿在他背后慢慢隐没暗淡了，有只温柔的大手掌把小公主慢慢地推送出这座圣殿外。天上有一个声音预告着，他将戴上法老王的金色帽子与面具。这时他的肉身仍在尼罗河水中，脚底下有一只大手把直立站着的他拖上了水面。大手把他送到岸边，小公主赶快上了岸，心中非常惊奇，怎么会有这样的神奇呢？
Across millennia, Isis has endured as a symbol of wisdom and transformative power, her presence offering hope to humanity in times of loss and renewal. Effervescent viewers, thank you for joining us today.